Hello everybody and welcome back to Star Citizen. Well, today we're going to be primarily hanging out at Levski. The main reason for this is, last night I had a conversation with some friends, and as a result I wanted to test something out and see how it's going to work, and I'm going to show that for you right now. And I figured, while we're in the area, why not hang out a little bit? And I'll show you basically some things about Levski, and give you a little quick tour on 2 or 3 of the major areas that everybody's going to be interested in. Namely, where's the armor going to be located, and where can you go and buy weapons. And I might show you where Miles Eckhart is. He's really not functional right now. You can't get missions from him, but it's just an important thing to actually know, and it's really easy to get to him. So in case you're wondering with what's going on in the background here, this is a weird bug I wanted to show off, where I spawned directly into Levski. Now, in-game, if you visit a site like Levski or Grim Hex and then fly off and get killed, you will respawn back at that location because it's the last one that you visited. But this was weird in of the fact that I had spawned directly into the game fresh and it dropped me off at Levski. And what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to wake up at Alisar every time, regardless of anything else, until they start getting beds working again and that kind of level of functionality going. And I think it has something to do with the fact that I had a criminal rating and I was in this area when I logged off, and then logged right back on within, I think it was like 5 or 10 minutes. And it weirdly spawned me into this area. It doesn't happen very often, but I have had this happen to me before, so I'm just letting you know what's going on. I want to have a video record of it to prove that it actually did happen to me. Okay, so the main thing that I wanted to test is, do you have to land in one of these hangars in order to trade with Levski itself? And by that I mean is when you get off and then you go inside and you deal with one of the ASOP terminals, will it acknowledge your ship as being a valid place to buy and sell cargo from? Now, the discussion basically was whether or not you had to land in there, or could you land just outside of Levski, and not have to specifically go into the hangar itself. Like, could you just land outside or land into one of the other spawn points or something like that and still trade? And some people thought you could and some people thought you couldn't, and I just decided to try for myself and see what would basically happen. So here we are coming upon Levski right now, and the first thing I'm going to do is try and land just outside of the territory, meaning just on an area that's just ground, and then getting out, going inside, checking the ASOP terminal, and seeing if I can still have it acknowledge my ship and trade. Because essentially that's what a lot of the outposts do. Well, that's what all of the outposts do, essentially. You don't have to land on their landing pads even if they have one. And as long as you're relatively close, they'll still acknowledge your ship. And I've gotten surprisingly far away from the trading post and still had them acknowledge my ship, so. And it definitely is proximity based. So that's what this first experiment is. So the major advantage to being able to land outside of one of these hangars and to be able to go inside and still do trade is the fact that there's only 4 hangars out here. Could you imagine if there's only 4 hangars in all of Alisar, how backed up the traffic would be? And although it hasn't really been too much of an issue right now, if there was a higher volume of people, or if you ever had a moment where a lot of people are trying to go to Levski at once, it would be a major issue. And the whole thing too is, like, whenever you spawn a ship, they appear in the hangars as well, so all ingoing and outgoing traffic is done through these hangars. So I could see this becoming a major issue at some point, specifically if, like I said, any more than 4 people wanted to come or leave at any given time. And that's a very small number of people, considering you could have potentially up to 50 people in an instance at one time. So I got out of my ship, went inside Levski, hit one of the ASOP terminals, and it would not acknowledge my ship at all. So first test is a failure. You can't land outside of the confines of Levski and go in and expect to do any trade with them. And I mean, I was just, you saw the footage, I was literally just outside of the compound, just outside of the territory that is Levski, and landed on terra firma, on dirt. Now, just for the sake of science, I tried one more experiment, and this time I decided to land not in the dirt and the ground surrounding Levski, but in the area where you actually can spawn ground vehicles. And I figured if anything, this should be an area of the game that is acknowledged by the Levski landing site. So, once again, took off, got over here, landed, and got out, went back inside, checked the ASOP terminal, and unfortunately, once again, it would not acknowledge the ship as a valid point to buy and sell goods from. So that's also a failure. So essentially, the bottom line is you need to go inside one of those hangars in order to do trade. And if you don't do that, if you park just anywhere else, basically, you're not going to be able to go inside and actually either sell or buy goods. Now, on to the good news. There may be only 4 of these hangar bays on Levski, but they are the most secure areas to land at in the entire game right now. And I'm not talking bugs that happen or anything like that. Those withstanding, once those get fixed, this is going to be the best place to actually land your ship in. If you think about it, nobody can shoot at your ship. Even if you're in an armistice zone, some ships can actually, if they have a good enough weapon, they can get up beyond the area of the armistice zone and fire down upon you and destroy your ship. Can't do that if you're in an enclosed hangar. You also don't have to worry about griefers. People can't dive bomb your ship. They can't ram your ship. They can't do any of these things. But the only thing you do have to worry about is sometimes shady people will just hang out in hangars. And you'll see them immediately. There's absolutely no reason for a guy to be hanging in your hangar, just walking around, unless he's trying to get into your ship. So beware of that. So I'm going to be showing you how to get to the customs area from your hangar, and then how to get to the Grand Barter from there. And it's super easy. There's only going to be one elevator leading away from your hangar, and it leads right to the customs area. And customs is just over here to the left. So over here to the right leads to the area where you can go and spawn ground vehicles. And if you go beyond this elevator, you'll see a bunch of ASOP terminals, and then further on it'll lead you to another series of elevators that will lead you to the individual areas where your ship's going to be located. And we're going to pass through the customs area, which is going to provide absolutely no resistance to us whatsoever, so we can just head right through here without any worries. Up ahead and to the right is where the ASOP terminals are located, where you can buy and sell goods from. But we are going to be taking the elevator to the Grand Barter area, where most of the stuff we're going to be looking for is located. And here we are, the Grand Barter. It's, as you can tell by the signs, kind of hard to miss. And it doesn't matter which way you go, left or right, they're both going to lead to the same spot. And here we are, this is it. This is the main area of the Grand Barter. And we're basically located on this catwalk that's situated above everything and looking down upon it. So the first place on the tour is going to be over here to Conscientious Objects, which is really easy to get to and is also going to be the place where you're going to go and buy your armaments. One of the unique guns located in this area is the sniper rifle, and this is where I go to pick it up. And here we are, like I said, really easy to find. You can see the signs from the promenade as soon as you walk into the Grand Barter area to the right. And the second stop on the tour is going to be Cordy's, and this is the place where you're going to be buying your armor from. And once again, very easy to find. And I'm going to start you off from the area where you first walk into the Grand Barter area, and then show you how to get to it from there. And you just walk down these stairs, and as soon as you come off them, it's right in front of you, and you can tell because of the big sign that has the shield on it. It has a lot of the same armor options as Grim Hex, but these varieties come in kind of like a desert brown kind of color variant, but other than that, they're the exact same kinds of armor. But these guys over here are unique. These are the Venture suits, and they're kind of a variation on the Odyssey armor that you find at Port Olisar, but these guys have a little bit more color and flair to them in my opinion. For this very last part of the tour, I'm going to show you how to find Miles Eckhart, and he is extremely easy to find. And I'm going to start you out once again from the spot where you first walk into the Grand Barter area and walk you through it from there. And he's just on the other side of this catwalk. It doesn't matter which way you go, left or right, just stay on the catwalk itself, keep walking forward, and eventually you'll just run right into it. And this is the sign that you're going to be looking for. Just as soon as you come up to it, head inside and just follow the path. Miles Eckhart is going to be one of the more interesting quest givers in the game, but unfortunately right now he doesn't have any functionality, so you can't go to him and request something to do. You are going to be able to build your reputation with him over time as you do good with missions and then get better missions being delivered to you, and the quality of the missions and the type that are given are also supposed to change depending on what your level of criminality are. So ideally you could be finding yourself on one side or the other of a mission objective depending on what your current standing is. So when you're finally ready to leave, get back to the upper catwalk area and look for the exit that leads to the elevators. It's really easy to see because if you look to your left, you're going to see the conscientious object sign, and you look to the right, you're going to see the hospital. The exit itself is labeled elevators and even points you in the right direction. And one last thing that trips a lot of people up on their first visit to Levski is when you finally make your way back to your hangar and you want to leave, you have to request landing permissions again before he'll open up the top and allow you to get out. And he doesn't have unique responses for that, so it almost sounds like he's letting you land once again, which is kind of weird, feels a little awkward, but that's the way you do it to get out. Do your request, the doors will open, and just fly right out and go about your way. And it's the best way to do it. And make sure not to hit either one of the edges on your way out in any degree, because I've actually done that before. Just clipped the doors on my way out and been given a criminal rating because of it. Anywhere from 2 to 4, so watch that. I would say just chill, let them open all the way first, and then make your way out just really slowly and take off. They'll give you plenty of time, so you don't have to rush it. So that's just a little bit about what Levski is and has to offer, and I hope to be doing more comprehensive videos about landing zones like this and the others in the near future. Thank you very much for joining me for this episode of Star Citizen, and I hope to see you again. Goodbye, everybody.